MMA, cyborgs, a 19th century Victorian setting. Levius has all this and more, so let's get right into this review. So this story takes place in 19th century England in the wake of a world war, and with the end of this world war, a new sport rises up, MMA, which stands for Mechanical Martial Arts. This is not to be confused with mixed martial arts, which is basically the same thing, but the difference is that every human or person participating in MMA has the steampunk, robotic, cyber-enhanced bodies that they use to fight, where this new sport has a high fatality rate and is loved by all in the nation and in the whole world. And this story follows Levius, right here on the cover, who I believe is 19, and for reasons I don't want to spoil why he's actually in the league, let's say it has to do something with his mom in some capacity, is trying to reach the top of the MMA rankings and become number one and fight in this stadium where he feels he can reach and become truly satisfied for the reason he's searching for. And now that you know a little bit about the setting, first off, before we actually dive into the actual inside of this book, I want to talk about the outside of this book a little bit and the quality of the actual pages itself. I'm going to bring it back here because usually I have a problem with showing the whole book, so if I keep it back here, I don't have to worry about it. But first off, this book is 3 volumes. It is the first 3 volumes of Levius, and there is a sequel to this called Levius EST. So if you finish this and wonder why there's a cliffhanger at the end, it is because this story is not actually over and there's a continuing series. But yes, the actual quality of this book is super nice. The pages are really well made. The color pages are some of my favorite, if not my favorite this year so far, and almost specifically part of the reason is just for the fact that they're not like that laminated page or whatever they use. It's an actual book, like an actual just regular page, and it looks so nice. It's got that, I believe a watercolor kind of style to it, which is one of my favorite art styles. But anyway, yes. But we'll dive into the art actually right now, speaking of the art, and man, this is something else. You can see why Viz took such good care of this book and made it so well. It's just, the art is just remarkable. It's the way he draws, it fits the world setting so well. The characters, the expressions they show, just the hair, the body, the way the clothes and everything. It just makes you, the art and the way he does, Harushi Nakata does the art, it draws you into the world and makes it really feel like a world that could really exist. And now, I did say it was in 19th century England, but is not actually shaped like our world. Like it doesn't look like our actual world map, which I don't know exactly why. They haven't explained it yet, so hopefully they'll explain it later on or something. Yeah, as you know, this is an MMA manga, so the whole thing, the biggest thing you want to check out is what are the fight scenes like. And I can tell you without a doubt, they are some of the best fight scenes ever. The whole book itself and every page really feels like you're kind of watching a movie. The way the background is kind of blurred out on certain things and focuses on the characters you really want to. It really just makes it feel like like you're really watching a movie. And the fight scenes are just awesome. The choreography is amazing. They're so clear and well done. There has been like 1 or 2 panels where I'm like, I can't really tell what's going on. But for the most part, there's really been no problems. And that his use of 2-page spreads or 1.5-page spreads are just gorgeous. Like the first the first double page where they shows the Coliseum really just gives you this grand scale and just how that feeling of how awesome and loved and popular that the MMA sport actually is and how popular Levius is before seeing how many people show up at this Coliseum and just the art and the direction. All the characters in here are super interesting. They're a little bit tropey. Levius does have a little bit of that punk emo side to him where he's like super depressed all the time, but understandably so. With his father being a rebel and his mom being in a coma, he's not doing too well right now, and he is being taken care of by his uncle and his grandma, who both live together. And when he's young and he decides that he wants to become an MMA fighter, his uncle Zach decides to take him in and to train him and help him do it, even though he's against it. He could tell that there's no way of stopping him. But yeah, this is a great, great series. You definitely should check it out. If you guys don't want any spoilers, I'm going to be diving in deeper past this point about talking about what the actual storyline is and a little bit more. But yeah, if you don't want to spoil it for you right now, check it out. Go read it. You'll love it. Cyberpunk, epic fights, just epic storyline, great art. Everything about this is a great story. I definitely would give it, for right now, a 9 out of 10. I really don't have a lot of problems with it. But yeah, stick around if you want to see a little bit more of a deep dive into it. So right now I want to talk a little bit about how Levius himself got into MMA and what made him want to become an MMA fighter. So before this, let's give a little insight of what Levius was like before he ends up moving to this new area, living with Uncle Zach and his grandma. So Levius, as a child, and as you know, his mother's in a coma and his father is a rebel. He lived in the on the Green Bridge, or in that area. So this was the most dangerous area of the war, and because his father was a rebel, this ended up giving his family a lot of torture, and his mom being weak, he ended up resenting his father, and ending up with the end of this war, his father ends up dying, and he ends up being glad that his father's dead. He's not a fan of his father, which is like, the fathers are never doing good in manga and anime. They're always messing up. It's kind of weird, for the most part at least. But yeah, anyway, so he moves in, coming in on train one day, and Uncle Zach waits there to pick him up. So as he picks him up, he drives him home, introduces him to the grandma. And Uncle Zach really doesn't like him that much because he reminds him too much of his dad, as he says. And it worries both his grandma and Uncle Zach. So the next day, they're driving around, and they start to bond a little bit more after they end up fixing a car and start to talk a little bit more about their feelings. And as they're driving one day to go pick up something, I don't remember exactly what it was, he ends up looking out the window and seeing an image of his mom, or some figment of his imagination, some dream of his mom as a child. So he runs off after her, jumps out of the car, and chases them to this area. And he ends up in the Coliseum, in the middle of a fight, and she envisions it. And all of a sudden, as he runs into the stadium, he just sees in the future, and this stadium that hasn't even been built yet, and he sees his mother watching over him as he's fighting, and in this grand duel, or a grand fight in this, just as the number one fighter. So this makes him think that he's destined to be a fighter and destined to be the best at what he's done at MMA. So he begins to start doing this and is just hell-bent on doing this, and nothing can stop him. Even Uncle Zach, who's against it, ends up knowing he can't stop him, so he ends up training him and helping him out. And the thing is with Uncle Zach, apparently he's known about MMA before, and they haven't explained exactly why, so I do want to know more about that. But as you see later in this volume, I'm only halfway through right now, and as you can see towards the end of Volume 1, a new stadium's being built, and all of a sudden Uncle Zach knows this because he was reading the newspaper about it. He knows that is exactly like the one he had in his dream with his mom watching over him. So Uncle Zach tells Levius about it, and so Levius doesn't act surprised. It's like he knew this was going to happen. He's not surprised that what his envision is coming true, so he knows what's going to happen, and he just seems more determined. And at the same time, this stadium is only going to be for the top rank, the best. Because in martial arts, or not martial arts, well, yeah, it is martial arts, mechanical martial arts, there is 5 ranks to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 respectively, and Levius is a rank 2. And the Coliseum is only going to be hosting rank 1 fighters. And at the same time, a rank 1 fighter ends up dying, and around the same time that this new stadium is being opened up. So a spot opens up for a new rank 1 fighter. Conveniently, the fight for the rank 2 ends up becoming the number 1 rank 2, which is Hugo, this crazy boxer, psychotic dude is kind of straight up a douchebag, and just in the middle of one of his interviews just starts punching a reporter and everything. He's crazy. But anyway, it becomes Hugo, which is the rank 1 in the number 2 division, and Levius, who's rank 7, which seems kind of random to pick a rank 7 player, but it also enforces the fact that it was almost like one of those things where it's like, really? Come on, that's a little too convenient, you know what I mean? But anyway, he ends up getting picked, but before the fight, there's a fight before it where Hugo ends up fighting a rank 22 Division 2 member, because there's divisions, and then below they have the ranks, like I said, and Hugo's number 1, I think I said that, but anyway, yeah, he ends up fighting him, and in this battle, he ends up just getting not decimated. He's fighting back, but he ends up almost dying, gets put in critical condition and losing to this rank 22 fighter that nobody knew about. And then we get to learn about this new industry. It's not asthma industry, aesthetic. It's something like that. Let me look it up. Okay, it was Amethyst, but yeah, this is the company that ended up raiding and. Yes, the company's called Amethyst, and the company is the one that ended up going to the Green Bridge and destroying it, and ending up ending the war, and caused his father to die and his mother to end up in this coma. So as he gets enraged, he almost comes in and ruins the fight. But as they finish it, Hugo ends up not dying, but ended up losing and becoming in critical condition. Levius jumps down at the end of it and starts to fight the person there. And as he breaks it off, he finds out that this girl, AJ, is one of the people there. And as she goes in for a punch, you can almost see you can see in her eyes that she doesn't really want to do this. And as we learn on later on, there's these kids called Voidnik's kids who were rumored to be orphan kids that Amethyst Tech picked up and brainwashed them to becoming elite fighters. And as we learn about this, you kind of understand why she doesn't really want to do this. She's kind of be forced to do this through the brainwashing. But yeah, this story so far, that's about how far I am into it, and it's so great. I love this story, the steampunk, the fighting. It's so choreographed. It's like the fights are so brutal and awesome, and most of the fights aren't really that, like, for the most part, there is a little bit of it, but the fights are mostly just no talking. You just watch their fists, watch their feet go, and you just let the fighting do the talking and show the emotions through them and how great of fighters and all this, like, techniques and stuff that they have. And it's just, everything about this story so far is amazing. I thought I would like this. I had super high hopes for it, and I was kind of worried that they weren't going to reach that kind of expectation that I had for it. But in the end, so far, this has matched every expectation I had for it. It's awesome. It's brutal. It's boxing. It's MMA. It's epic. The storyline is something that's engaging and progresses at a good pace and keeps you not getting bored and doesn't seem like a stale storyline. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This story is definitely an 9 out of 10 for me. I almost said 8 out of 10, but definitely a 9 out of 10. I can't go anything lower than that. I can't say it's perfect yet. There's tiny issues that I have with it. Some panels not being able to tell what's going on. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I will see you in the next video.